Today, we're diving into female solipsism, the hidden mindset that shapes how women experience relationships, breakups, and even love itself. And once you see it, you can't unsee it.
We're going live, baby.
We'll do it live.
You're listening to the premier podcast for men who want to not only be better with women, but want to be better men in general. This is the Come On Man podcast. And here's your host,
Paul Bauer.
Paul Bauer.
Paul Bauer.
Paul Bauer.
Paul Bauer.
Paul Bauer.
Paul Bauer. He is a certified master life coach and NLP practitioner.
It's true. It's damn true. You know, I'm really excited for today's episode, guys. What a way to kick off Monday by dunking on women. Am I right? Can you smash that like button when it comes to dunking on women? It's so awesome. No, just kidding. Whenever I talk about women's inherent nature, it's really not to complain or to make fun of women necessarily. It's to better understand them so that you can have better interactions with them in your relationships. And also, I was just on a podcast yesterday, with a guy named Glenn Gilbert, and I think his podcast is called The Glenn Gilbert Connection. Check that out, brand new podcast. I was telling him that, you know, on social media, a lot of my content really comes across as misogynistic and dunking on women, but there's a method to the madness here. A big problem with guys in relationships is they take their girls too seriously. You know what I mean? Like if you don't take women so seriously, you actually have better relationships with them. You know, it's kind of weird. It's kind of counterintuitive. Anyway, guys, drop a 1 in the chat if you can hear me okay. I just want to make sure that my audio is good before we get too far into this. We're going to get right into it. We're talking about female solipsism when it comes to relationships today. But real quick, if you are new to the channel, my name is Paul Bauer. I help men level up and get better with women. And the funny thing about doing that is it tends to make us better men in all areas of our lives. Hey, look, Nurse Chick says 1 because she does what she's told. She's a good girl. Anyway, guys, so what is female solipsism? Maybe you've heard this before, but what it is a woman often sees the world through her own eyes only. Okay, as if her feelings and thoughts are the whole truth. Okay, like they are very tunnel visioned with how they're experiencing the world, and they think their experience is everyone's experience. Okay. This a good example of this is, was it last week? I think I did the top 20 reasons women file for divorce. Well, those clips went out on social media, and some of those reasons were not the reasons that some women filed for divorce. Right? They were 20 different reasons. There's probably a million different reasons women file for divorce, right? Well, when a woman would come across that and see that it wasn't her reason, she was like, that's not true. It's like, for you, it's not true, but that's how women's solipsism works. It's not true for her, so therefore it must not be true for anybody. Okay? So that's a good example of it, right? So if she feels something, then to her, it's true. If she is happy, then the world feels happy. If she's sad or angry, then the world feels sad and unfair. Okay. And she can forget or ignore what her man is going through because her own view feels bigger and more real to her. This is one of the reasons why women don't care about men's struggles. Okay. And it doesn't mean that she's being mean or insensitive on purpose. It's more like her brain is just wired to focus on herself first, especially when it comes to things like safety, love, and relationships. And so that's why in like long-term relationships, she might change her mind quickly and expect you to just understand, right? Or she might think her needs are more important without even realizing or considering your needs or anybody else in the family's needs. Okay. She might forget the good things you've done if she feels unhappy right now. That's why I often say that women have a "what have you done for me lately" attitude, and there's no such thing as relationship equity. You could do a million things right in the past, but if right now she feels like you're messing up, none of that stuff matters. That all goes away. Okay. That's female solipsism. All right. So it's like she's the main character in her own movie, and everyone else is just a part of her story. And a big problem is that guys, when we are raised with a nice guy paradigm, and we have this whole concept of like happy wife, happy life, and all that kind of stuff, is we tend to enable that. And we stop being the main characters in our own story, and we start being a supporting character in hers. And that tends to kill attraction in long-term relationships. Okay. So it's really important to understand how women are thinking and how women are viewing things so that you can better navigate these relationships. Like nothing I'm going to talk about today is supposed to be inherently, it's not inherently evil or whatever. Like sometimes I put stuff out on social media about like women's hypergamous nature and whatever. And people are like, that's the devil. Like, no, it's not. No, it's not. It's evolutionary psychology and evolutionary biology. So like red pill, for instance, a lot of people don't understand this. A lot of people think red pill is just about dunking on women and making fun of women and all this kind of stuff. Red pill is about just trying to get the closest we can to objective truth and reality without any kind of morals or judgments on top of it, so that we could better explain this stuff, right? But if you start putting morals on everything, like, oh, that's evil, that's the devil, then people stop talking about this stuff, and then none of you guys learn anything. Okay. Something I learned from Ryan Stone. Okay. The world's greatest red pill couch. All right. Anyway, so how does this show up in a long-term relationship? Well, one way is rapid detachment after breakups, right? She can get over you quickly by shifting her focus to sort of like a survival mode and new opportunities. We call this war brides syndrome or war brides phenomenon in red pill. Rollo's the first person to ever really talk about this stuff. Rollo's the one that really sort of, put all these types of terms on the map. Really, Rollo, guys like Royce, guys like Rushvi, are guys that really put this stuff on the map. So it's not like I'm inventing or reinventing the wheel here, right? But war brides is something where in our tribal past, where you would have warring tribes coming in and killing all the men, and then like capturing all the women and children and taking them off to their village. The women who would fight that and try to really mourn the loss of their husbands or whatever, they would be killed, right? So the women who survived were the women that were able to sort of mentally detach and rewrite the story about what happened to their husbands and move on quickly with their new captors. And, and they were forced to be wives in these new tribes and whatever. Okay. Like that was, so the women who survived complied basically. And so that sort of rubbed off. And that's why women move on so quickly after breakups, and guys are just mentally crushed for years and stuff. Right. So that's one way. That's one way that female solipsism manifests itself in relationships. Shit tests are a way that women do this, right? Oh, good. We're past the 8-minute mark. Those are really designed not to be shitty, but to see if you have your shit together. It's a survival probing mechanism to see if you can handle life's challenges, right? So ruthless tests of strength and frame come from the solipsistic drive for self-preservation. She wants to make sure that, okay, if I'm gonna put some money down on this guy and attach my cart to this horse here, I want to make sure that he can handle life's challenges. And so she'll challenge you. She'll see if she can get you up in your feels, if you can get up in your emotions. And if she's able to get an emotional reaction out of you through her testing, you failed. And now she doesn't feel safe and secure in relationship. It doesn't mean that she's not really, it's feels over reals. Okay. This is female solipsism. It's how she feels. Therefore, that's her reality. And therefore, it's everybody's reality. Right. All right, guys, do be sure to, as we're going through these, do be sure to like, subscribe, hit those notifications. I have new episodes every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday without fail. And you can watch these on YouTube. You can listen on Spotify. You can listen on Apple, all that good stuff. But just make sure that if you're finding value in these things, that that you hit that like button, subscribe, and hit those notifications so you don't miss a single episode, okay? The next one here is indifference to male sacrifice. Okay. Acts of provision and sacrifice are seen as expected. That's just doing your job. You know, they don't appreciate the sacrifice. It's not cherished, right? This is why we say women don't care about men's struggles. They wait at the finish line and they bang the winners. Shout out to Rich Cooper. I think Rollo really came up with that first, but Rich is really one that put that term on the map, right? Women don't care about your struggles. They only care about the results. And this is why, man, like I said, I was just on that guy's podcast, Glenn Gilbert. And that episode's going to be coming out in the next few weeks. He's sending it off to his editor. But one of the things that we were talking about is how he's just learning this stuff. He's new to the space. He's very much where I was, like, I would say 5 years ago, just starting off the podcast, starting to really interview some of the bigger names in the space and stuff like that, including me. Not to toot my own horn or anything, but people know me. Okay. But one of the things that really shocked him was he saw this video of I think it was a female marriage counselor, and she had this couple in on marriage for marriage therapy. And the wife was complaining that her husband doesn't open up to her enough. And so she really wanted him to open up more, right? And as you guys know, if you guys have read She's Made You Weak, that's the second stage of the betatization process, is getting the man to open up, right? Be more emotionally vulnerable, right? So women say they want that and they think they want that. But what happened is the counselor's like, well, you need to open up more. That's what she wants. And so he did. And he opened up so much with all of his frustrations and worries and all the stuff that he started crying, right? Well, I guess a couple sessions, maybe a month or so later, it finally broke down in counseling that him opening up so much and getting so emotional that he started crying made her lose attraction even more. And the counselor, this is why marriage counseling doesn't work, okay? Because marriage counselors are blue-pilled. They're programmed with blue-pilled ideology that we know just doesn't work, okay? So the counselor was shocked when she said that, because the counselor's like, but that's what you wanted, though. I don't understand. All right. This is why we don't listen to what women say. We pay attention to what they respond to. Okay. That's the crux of Red Pill. We're not listening to what women say they want. We're paying attention to what they actually respond to. And they don't respond well to men's struggles. Okay. So when you open up and you just emotionally dump on her, she doesn't feel safe and secure now in the relationship. She's like, this guy can't handle life. This guy can't handle life struggles. How can I trust him to handle things for me and the family if he can't even handle these things, right? That's how she feels. That's her solipsism coming through. So this is why one of the things I told Glenn on that podcast, Glenn Gilbert, was I said, well, yeah, I mean, like, so if you find yourself opening up to your wife, because a lot of guys don't have anyone else to talk to. They only have their wives, right? So if you find yourself word vomiting and emotionally, dumping on her, it's very important to recognize it in the moment and put a positive cap on the end of that, right? Just like, but you know what? I got a plan for this. You know what? I'm going to hit the ground running. I'm going to figure this out. Or, you know what? I got a guy that we're working on a solid plan for this. It's going to be okay. She just wants to hear that last part. I got it handled. Right? It's going to be okay. That's all she cares about. She don't care about your struggles, right? She cares that you got life handled. Okay. So that's her solipsism. And it's just important to know that. Okay. That's not a diss on her, she can't help it. She's wired that way. Okay. And you're not going to change that. All right. Another way it manifests itself is women often rewrite relationship history. Okay. Now, like she'll frame past events to preserve her self-image, right? Even if it contradicts reality. In her head, she'll tell herself a story where she's the victim. You know, this is why women, we often say women have no sense of self-accountability. It's because in her head, she's not the responsible one. She's told herself a story and she's rewritten the history so that she's not the one that's responsible. Even if it's something that she is responsible for, she'll rewrite that history to make herself feel better about her actions and then play victim, right? For you, like this way, like calling her out will never work. This, you know, these guys are like, you need to call her out for her bullshit. It's not going to change anything because in her head, she's already told herself a story why she's in the right. You know, she's not wrong. Okay. That's female solipsism, brother. Okay. Another way, I bet you some of you guys are going to get pissed off with these. You're not gonna like some of these, okay? And but you also got to understand that you can't change any of these things. Okay, you can't rewire her. You're not going to, and you're not going to shame her into rewiring herself. Okay, she's just not going to do it. She's just wired in this certain way, and so it's best to just understand it and then learn how to navigate through it. Okay, and but Paul, this is not holding women accountable. This can't possibly be right. Like, how are you going to hold her accountable, bro? How are you going to do it? Right? You're going to yell at her. What are you going to do? You're going to beat her? You can't do that. We can't do that, right? Like, what are you going to do? Okay. Anyway. Entitled mindset. So a lot of women have a sense of entitlement, don't they? Right? Social conditioning plus solipsism convinces her she deserves better treatment regardless of reciprocity, right? You go, queen. You're a boss girl. You deserve this. Like society is always telling women that they deserve crap, right? Men understand because men aren't just inherently given our value. We have to earn our value. We have to become valuable. Like that's our burden of performance in society. Women are born with their value, right? As long as they're relatively attractive, they're, you know, their value is that they are the ones that create the next generation. And so, you know, and men are happy to just do whatever and fawn all over them just so they can get a chance to bang them a little bit, right? So women are inherently given value at birth and men have to earn their value. And so women often develop this entitled mindset. This is one of the reasons why I personally think it's best to date a girl who grew up as an ugly duckling, right? A girl who grew up as an ugly duckling and actually had to develop a little bit of a personality because she didn't have her looks to carry her through and then became hot later on in life. They're usually pretty good women. They're pretty fucking humble because they didn't just have everything given to them. They don't have this insane sense of entitlement that really hot women that have been hot their whole lives have been given them, right? So if you can find a girl that was an ugly duckling in high school and she's blossomed in her 20s or, you know, whatever, like those are the best women. They don't have such an entitlement mindset. Let me ask you guys though, okay? A lot of you guys have experience with this. A lot of you guys have are married or you're in a relationship or you're in a past relationship. What's the most entitled behavior you've noticed from a woman? What's the most entitled? It could be a woman you've seen on TV too. It doesn't matter. What's the most entitled behavior you've seen from a woman? Let me know in the comments, okay? If you guys are watching live, drop it in the chat. If you guys are watching the replay, drop it in the comments below. If you're listening on Spotify, drop it in the comments below. What is the most entitled behavior you've ever noticed from a woman? Let me know. Another way that it shows up is they often return to abusive men, right? This is why, like, a lot of people can't wrap their mind around it. You know, this woman, she's complaining about this guy's abuse, but she keeps going back to the abuser, right? So she might go back to men who trigger strong emotions, justifying it through their solipsistic filter as a hope that he'll change, right? I love him though, right? And a lot of times these guys are very abusive, and these women are sort of, they sort of see it as strength, and it almost makes them feel more protected because it feels like dominance, right? After the fact, right? So after she's abused in the moment, she's scared and all this kind of stuff, she rewrites that story in her head that he's more dominant and he'll get better later or whatever. It's almost like a Captain Stay-at-home mentality, but with abusive guys, right? This is why women tend to do that sort of thing. It's just their solipsism will change the filter so that they feel better about it. They also they will also project their reality as the universal reality. So I kind of talked about this early in the beginning, right? Her feelings become the truth regardless of anyone else's perspective, right? It's fascinating to watch. It's fascinating to watch. It's another good example of this. So I gave one earlier. Another good example of this is there's a meme, a meme that came out years ago. And it's a guy saying, what was it? It was, the average woman, the average woman is 5'5" or something, right? It's something to this effect. Don't quote me exactly, but the meme says something to the effect of the average woman is 5'5". And then a woman goes, but I'm only 5 foot tall though. Right? We're not talking about you, Cindy. We're talking about the average of all women. Okay. But the projection of her reality, but I'm only 5 foot tall. That's reality for everybody. All women are this tall, right? Women can't measure. Guys, if you are enjoying this episode, do consider sending a super chat. Okay. Sending a super chat does help support the show, probably more than anything else. A couple of ducats or two. Some of you guys are sending $500 super chats to these 304s out here that are giving you absolutely no value. But I'm giving you some valuable information. So throw your boy a ducat or two. You don't have to send me $500. I mean, I wouldn't turn it down, but you don't have to. Okay. But just, a couple of ducats or two, send a super chat, support the show. And if you're watching on Facebook, the equivalent is, I think, a star or something. I don't know, whatever. Okay. So the next one here, withholding intimacy as leverage. This is a part of women's solipsistic nature. Solipsistic thinking makes her view sex as a tool for control rather than shared desire. Now, sometimes, like instinctively, when she first gets to know a guy and she does have that inkling of desire and attraction for him before you start going down the betatization process, she is giving out sex pretty regularly and I would say enthusiastically, because she's into you, she's attracted to you, she really likes you. But as the relationships go longer, and as you start succumbing to the betatization process, little by little, just wearing down your attraction, she starts using you, right? It's what you can provide for her, what she can get out of you. And so she starts using this intimacy as a leverage tool. Right. And you've seen I just posted it the other day too. I reposted it the other day, the reward chart for sex. And it's like women, some woman wrote it saying, if you do the dishes, you get a hand job or whatever. And it's all this kind of stuff where it's negotiating desire, and she's using it to her advantage because she knows how guys are so sex driven because, we have to be, because we're full of testosterone. That's why we have such a high sex drive, right? Well, women are like, oh, well, let me use that to my advantage and dangle this pussy carrot and try to get leverage to get him to do shit for me. Okay. So women are this is how it shows up. Okay. How that solipsistic nature shows up. Another way that it shows up is through her hypergamous reevaluation. Okay. So this is where You've gone through all the phases of the betaization process. She's basically doesn't look at you like her best possible option anymore. And so as your perceived sexual market value shifts, her solipsistic nature reframes your worth relative to her needs, right? So now she's like, he's not my best possible option. I'm not getting X, Y, and Z from the relationship. I need to get it from someone else. And that's where women typically cheat, or they just dump you outright and move on to another guy. That's her telling herself a story and her feels and all this kind of stuff, and her hypergamous nature pushing her to find her next best option, right? Like the next best possible option, because now you're not it anymore. Okay. That's another way her solipsistic nature shows up in relationships. Guys, if you're not already doing it, follow me on social media. The links are in the description. I'm on all the good platforms. Okay. My Facebook is probably my biggest account right now. I am this close to 100,000 followers. So if you're on Facebook and you like my content, give me a follow on Facebook, would you? All right. We got a bunch of people in the chat now. What's going on in the chat? Let's see here. Nathan Self on X says, if you don't cater to her solipsism, she considers that abusive. That's her solipsistic nature, right? If it's not the way I want him to do things, now I'm abused and I'm a victim, right? So she sort of rewrites that story in her mind. Absolutely. Good example, Nathan. Nurse Chick's in the house. She says, good morning, gentlemen. And she gets this.
So naughty.
Yes.
I'm gonna come.
I do multiple times while she's here. And then Kamal's in the house. Wolfpack, too sweet, brother. Too sweet. Modern Man says, that totally happened with my ex. Totally tried to change the relationship unilaterally. I didn't go for it and we broke up. Well, you know what? That's a part of men. Men need to have more strong mental frame and be able to be willing to walk away when crap like that goes down. But a lot of guys are so afraid of losing a girl. They're so afraid of the dating circuit and getting back out there. And they have this scarcity mentality that they'll do anything to keep that relationship going. And, you know, even if it's to their downfall, and then she's happy to just abuse them and use them or cheat on them or whatever. So good on you, man. Good on you. Kamal says, so many people misunderstand the red pill and end up hating women. Yeah, they end up, well, there's different phases of red pill, right? It's very much like the, what's it called? The grieving process, right? The 5 stages of grief. It's very much like the 5 stages of red pill. Rollo did an article about it years ago. And a lot of guys, they build up that resentment with women when they find out what women's nature is, and then they hate women for it. Like, how dare they not love men unconditionally like my blue-pilled fantasy says they should. And because it's like, yeah, don't be mad at the women though. It's your upbringing in society that programmed you wrong. Like, you were just never told the truth. It's not your fault you didn't know. Now here's the problem with ignorance, right? It's not your fault that you didn't know, but but the consequences still are the same, right? For not knowing. So it's best to just learn what women's nature is and learn how to use it to your advantage. And that's really what red pill's about. It's about, oh, okay, well, so this is how they really act. Oh, okay, cool. Well, let's just navigate things this way now, and things will be healthy, and everything tends to be hunky-dory when guys embrace the praxeology and use it to their advantage. Yeah, absolutely. Hey, David Coit's in the house. What's up, man? He doesn't usually tune in live. He usually tunes in on Spotify after the fact. And if I'm ever late uploading a Spotify episode and you're like, man, where's this episode? Where's this episode? And then it finally comes out later in the afternoon. It's because David DM'd me going, hey man, where's this fucking episode? I'm like, oh shit. I got caught up on other stuff, man. Apologize. Because he's an avid audio listener. Hey, what's up, RP Mayan? What's going on, brother? Peter Andrew from Facebook says, always expecting a man to pay for everything. Yeah, that's his duty. That's his job. He owes me this, right? I'm entitled to free dinners and lunches and shit. This is why I recommend for guys that when you're, especially in the early stages of dating, like keep dates low investment. Don't be feeding all these hungry bitches out there. Like keep dates drinks only. It's all about getting to know her and figuring out if you even like her or not, and shift that mindset of stop trying to qualify to women and have women qualify to you. And life gets so much better when you do that, because what you'll find is that the women that aren't really that into you, they make themselves known, and you're okay, fine. Well, I'm not going to hang out with that bitch, right? And then the women that really do like you, that will qualify to you and will put investment in because they are genuinely attracted to you, they'll show themselves. The cream really does rise to the top when you change that mindset. Kamal says, she canceled a date, then expected me to travel an hour to her place on a Wednesday evening. She also warned me she may need to leave after an hour for a nail salon appointment. Oh, is that how that entitlement showed up for you? Yeah. But the thing is that a lot of simps feed that entitlement to women. So a guy who will drop everything for a girl, girls start expecting this shit, because a lot of guys will. A guy will like, oh, is sex on the table? I'm dropping everything. They'll fucking change plans and go do anything for a girl. And so women over time feel entitled. It just feeds that entitlement. That's why we're really big in the space about trying to squash being a simp. In fact, I think next week I'm going to be doing a Frame Friday on how to kill that simp mentality and that instinct to drop whatever you're doing to try to get some pussy, because that'll actually benefit you later in relationships if you stop being that simp guy. Okay. We'll talk about that more on that episode. Fevered and irrational. King Henry VIII had terrible trouble with his women. He's my hero. Well, that's because what's his story, right? It was all these women kept giving him daughters instead of sons, so he just like cut their heads off. He's like, it's their fault, even though it's the men's sperm that determines whether the baby's going to be a boy or a girl or not. So it's kind of his own fault. I think that's kind of funny, but anyway, I think I see where you're going with that. And then Peter from Facebook says, for me, it comes with a lot of acceptance and the ability to adjust to different realities and make myself more better for the long run. Yeah, man. A big message of the space is being your own mental point of origin and realizing that you can't change other people. You can only change yourself, right? So just focus on you. Focus on you, right? Okay. Let's see here. Victim narrative creation is the next one. So if the relationship fails, this is a big one, right? This is why every woman's ex is a fucking narcissist, right? Are they really narcissists? Yeah. I'll tell you what, if a girl talks about how all of her exes are narcissists, that tells you exactly what she's into. Okay. So anyway, women often have a revisionist history when it comes to past relationships, right? So they will, if the relationship fails, her story will cast her as the one who's been wronged, no matter the facts, no matter what happens. If she cheated, right? This is a big difference between men and women too, right? If men cheat, oftentimes men are overcome by the guilt of the act, especially if they're married and they're like, oh, I can't believe I did this to my wife. Oh my God, I just feel so bad. I got to come clean, right? So a lot of guys will come clean and confess to an affair because of guilt, and they feel bad about it. Women, like 99.9% of the time, have told themselves a story about why they didn't even cheat. They cheated, but to them, they didn't cheat. And why? Because they're a victim and he didn't do something or didn't provide something or didn't make her feel a certain way. And so it's his fault. It's his fault that I had to go do this, right? That's female solipsism. Okay. That's a good example of that. Another one kind of goes hand in hand with something we talked about, but men's sacrifices are invisible. Like, she doesn't consciously register his long-term investments because her frame is so self-centered and her entitlement that he owes her this, as you know, he's supposed to protect and provide. That's his job. He owes me this, right? So all your sacrifices, she doesn't give a shit about. This is why we say women don't care about men's struggles. They wait at the finish line and bang the winners because of their solipsistic nature. They don't realize how fucking hard you've grinded, to get to where you are. Like any kind of success you have, they don't give a fuck how much time you spent in school, how much time you spent failing, like all this kind of stuff. And a lot of women will leave men right before he gets to the success stage because he's in the failure stage and he's learning. He's struggling, right? He's scratching and clawing and trying to get to that next level. And all she sees is, especially if you're complaining about it a lot and like you're just talking about your worries and all this kind of shit. She only sees that as he can't handle life. I better move on to the next guy. Right. And she won't move past that struggle stage because she thinks you're weak at this point. And it's all just her solipsistic filter, not feeling safe and secure in the relationship because you aren't making her feel like you got shit handled. Right. This is why I say, if you find yourself opening up to her and talking about all the struggles you're dealing with, make sure you cap it with, I got it handled though. Right. It's just because her solipsistic nature can't deal with it. Okay. It's a limitation on her part. Right. Okay. Oh man. Oh, do we have a whammon in the chat? What is Joni saying? She says, the thing is, in the beginning, the woman needs to know you will cater to her every whim because she will rely on that when she has kids. If a man can't take care of a single woman in the beginning, on how on earth could he take care of her when there are little ones? Right? Yes, this is her solipsistic filter. Like, thank you, Joni. You're just proving my point there. Guys, by the way, I've had this up this whole time. I have a free ebook that will show you the 5 stages of the betaization process and how, if you don't know what's happening, you'll fall victim to it. Okay. And this is something that women do subconsciously. They don't even realize they're doing it. They're just wired this way, like Joni said, because they need to feel like you've got life handled, right? So they do these little things. The first stage is testing a man. And a lot of those tests are subconscious. And a lot of the times, they don't even realize they're testing you. And if you act the way her instincts say that you should act, then you pass the test and it wasn't a test at all. And she just feels safe and secure and everything's all fine and hunky-dory, right? But as soon as you act in a way that she's not expecting, all of a sudden red flags go up and like sirens go off. And she's like, holy shit, I don't feel safe and secure anymore. What's going on? Now you failed this test. A test that you didn't even know you failed. You were just, reacting a certain way. That's why we say, like, we show you like what some of these tests look like, so you know how to handle them, so that you're not reacting, you're responding. Okay, this is where like a lot of this stuff takes a lot of awareness and understanding of women's nature, so you can navigate this stuff. But the thing is, a lot of guys, they're like, oh, I don't want to have to fucking change myself for some woman and whatever. It's like, that's the wrong mindset. The wrong mindset. You're not doing this for her. You're doing this to be the best version of yourself, and just realizing that the way you've been doing things has been ineffective. Okay. So when you learn this stuff and start practicing this stuff, at first it feels like effort. It feels like it takes a lot of work. The juice isn't worth the squeeze or whatever. A lot of guys get really frustrated with this stuff. But the more you make this stuff habit-based, the more you just do this on instinct, right? This is all about reprogramming your paradigm and stuff, so that you do this stuff at a subconscious level. You're not even thinking about it. Then relationships become effortless. Okay. In the beginning, it's a little bit of effort, but after a while, it becomes second nature. Ego preserving denial. Okay, so women often rationalize contradictions in her behavior to avoid guilt or accountability, right? We talked about this before a little bit, but this is why, like, she tells herself a story in her head that makes her the victim all the time, and it's never her fault and whatever. That's her ego preserving nature, and that's just a part of her inherent solipsism. reinvention after divorce. Like she can completely reframe herself as a new woman with little emotional ties to the past, right? I'm a new me. This is where one of the reasons why I did a episode, was it last year sometime? It was a real popular episode too. And I talked about the cycles, the dating cycles, right? And there's a predictable pattern of dating throughout the year. Okay. It's almost like animals, right? In the fall, it's the rut season, right? And like animals like deer and elk, or like the males are battling it out for sexual access to the females, and who's ever the winner, right? Because women wait at the finish line and bang the winners. Same thing happens in the animal kingdom. When the males are battling for sexual rights to the females, that happens every fall. And then the girls get pregnant over the winter, and then in the spring they typically have babies, right? It's a cycle. It's a pretty predictable cycle. The same thing happens in the dating cycle. And what happens is cuffing season happens throughout the fall, right? And women are looking to lock down a guy to bring him to Thanksgiving dinner and to Christmas and all the things, so that Aunt Gertrude doesn't give her a bunch of shit for not having a man and not getting married or whatever. So they're always looking for someone to bring to family dinners. But by the end of December, women are sick of these guys, or maybe they've been with a guy for a long time and they're sick of that guy. And so when New Year's hits, right, January hits, there's a flood of women on the dating circuit, and I call it New Year, New Me season, right? Because all these women have this, reinvention after the divorce. All of a sudden, it's New Year, New Me. This guy's holding me back, and whatever, and he's abusive, he's a narcissist, or whatever the fuck they tell themselves. And now they're dumped that guy, and now they're back on the dating circuit looking for another possible option, right? So that happens. It's a predictable cycle. You see it every fucking year. Okay, go search my channel. You'll find that episode. Guys, by the way, if you didn't know, we're talking, on Mondays, we talk about dead bedrooms and relationship situations, okay? If you found yourself, if you're married, a married guy, you're in a dead bedroom situation, a lot of guys are trying to talk it out with their girl, and a lot of women even feel like, yeah, why don't you come to me and express your struggles, right? But in a situation like this, women don't care, right? So they have lost attraction for you. Something you've done has given them the ick. Usually you've fallen victim to the betatization process, and they've lost all sexual attraction to you. And so they stop having sex with you. And when they do, it's obligatory starfish sex, maybe once a week, once a month, if you're lucky. And that's a clear sign of a dead bedroom situation. And as a guy, there are ways to turn this around. That's why I wrote this book, Get Her to Fuck You Again. It's a red pill guide to fix a dead bedroom, because marriage in the red pill space gets a bad rap because it's a bad deal for men. Okay. But a lot of you guys out there didn't get the memo. You pulled that trigger. I think I was talking to someone, and I guess statistically 90% of guys are still marriage focused. They're still looking for a wife or a wifey, which I believe, I see it in the comments all the time. These guys are like, yeah, but she's not wife material, because all these guys are still thinking about marriage as the end state of any relationship. And so in the red pill space, we try to harp on the idea of that, marriage really is a bad deal for men under today's modern family court system. So it's not a good idea to actually go and get the government involved in your relationship, right? But a lot of you guys didn't get the memo. You're in a marriage. I personally believe that if you already pulled that trigger, there's no reason not to at least attempt to fix your marriage. But marriage counseling doesn't fucking work. They still pump these blue-pilled ideas, and it's ineffective. So oftentimes a lot of people just go to marriage counseling, and that's just the first step before you go see the lawyers, okay? There's a better way. There's a better way. And if men really want to turn things around, get the book, Get Her to Fuck You Again. Let me play a quick commercial for that, and then we'll get back to the topic.
Are you tired of the dead bedroom? Wondering what happened to the passion, the connection, and the spark? Well, here's your answer. Introducing Get Her to Fuck You Again, a red pill guide to fix a dead bedroom. Now on Amazon. This isn't about manipulation or tricks. It's about real strategies that work. If your wife has stopped being intimate with you, it's not because the love is gone. It's because the attraction is gone. And that's fixable. This book will teach you the skills to lead your marriage, rebuild your confidence, and become the man she can't stop thinking about. 3 reasons to get this book. 1. It breaks the cycle. You'll learn how to stop doing the same things that are killing her attraction and start doing the things that reignite it. 2. It's practical and proven. With clear, actionable steps, you'll build yourself into the man you were always meant to be. 3. It works for men like you. Paul Bauer has helped hundreds of men just like you fix their dead bedrooms. And now, it's your turn. Don't let another day go by feeling frustrated and disconnected. Go to Amazon right now and buy Get Her to Fuck You Again. Read it, apply it, and watch your marriage transform. The connection isn't gone forever. You just need the roadmap to get it back. And this book is it.
Bye, Joni. Men are talking here, okay? Have a seat. You notice how some of the guys in the chat, this gal Joni is like running her mouth in there and she's laughing at this stuff. It's like, see, women's solipsism. They don't care about men's struggles. Men are in dead bedroom situations. Women laugh at this shit. It's not funny. It's not funny when it's happening to you. When I'm in, I spend a lot of time in dead bedroom forums, you know, offering free advice and whatever. And there's a lot of women in those dead bedroom forums. It doesn't feel so good when it happens to a woman. But when it happens to men, oh, it's all funny and it's all fun and games, right, Joni? Fuck off, okay? Men are talking here. All right, shifting standards, right? So in the past, what she considered good enough might suddenly no longer apply. All of a sudden, it's not good enough, right? The effort that you're putting in now, it's been the same effort you've been putting in all the time. You feel like you've been very consistent with your effort. Well, all of a sudden, it's not good enough, right? That's a good way of that's a good example of female solipsism. A lot of the times too, it's when women get together and start jaw jacking and like this woman's like totally content with her husband over here, but this woman over here is like, oh, he's not putting in enough effort. He's not doing blah 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 blah, and so she lets her friends dictate what she does, and now all of a sudden she's like, yeah, you're right. He's not good, right? Women's single friends are the fucking absolute worst, right? If you have a wife and she's hanging around with a bunch of recently divorced women, expect a divorce coming. She, like, right? If we're the product of the 5 people we spend the most time with. If all of her 5 of her friends are divorced, she's going to be the 6th one divorced. Okay. It's best if women truly want to have healthy relationships, they need to spend time with other women who are in healthy relationships that are satisfied and happy and like, you know, everything's going great, because then they're going to feel the same. Women are very almost like what's the word, right? They sort of they're very what's the word I'm looking for here? They're a part of the collective, right? They're very collective oriented and they want to be good chimp. They I learned this from Paul Benjamin, right? We've studied this in bonobos and stuff like that. Females want to be on the good side of the group, right? They never want to be seen as the bad guy. And so they will change their behavior and do whatever they can to be seen as the good one. So if she's hanging out with a bunch of harpies that are bitching about how her man's not doing enough, she wants to feel included in the group. And so she's going to start being a bitch to you, even though she was totally content before, right? Another way this shows up is emotional priority over logic. Okay. And this is where guys get into trouble a lot. This is where guys really get into trouble. So decisions in the relationship are guided by how she feels in the moment. Okay. The problem with feelings is that they come and go. They're fleeting, right? They're never the same. And women, because they have a lot of estrogen, the estrogen controls her mood swings, right? And so she might feel happy and great. And then 30 minutes later, she's feeling like trash, right? That's just because of her hormones and stuff, right? So a lot of that stuff, controls her behavior and how she sees things. And so, like, you know, anything she's feeling in the moment, nothing in the past matters. We sort of talked about this a little bit, right? And so a lot of guys, when it comes to like dead bedroom situations, when they try to logic her into fucking him again, and like, oh honey, like, you know, I just feel like you just don't love me anymore and all this kind of stuff. To her, in the moment, it feels like complaining and whining, and it does nothing to reignite that attraction. That's why talking it out doesn't work. Okay, that's why there's a better way. All right. That being said, guys, I also want to invite you to my wolf pack. It's a good group of guys. It's a place where you can swap notes and level up in life. But more importantly, it's a place where you can go to with your struggles, because women don't care about your struggles. Okay. They wait at the finish line and they bang the winners. So if you do have a struggle and you really do need someone to talk to, Wolfpack is a great place for it. Okay. It's only $10 a month. Let me play a quick commercial for that, because I got to ask you, who wants to run with the wolves?
Beer club? Not anymore.
Midlife drift, feeling alone. You don't need hacks, blogs, lies. You need men with fire in their eyes. We rebuild from the ground up. No excuses, no soft stuff. Telegram lit 24/7. Brothers locked in, steel, not ever. Step inside the pack. We don't fall, we attack. Truth, fire, presence, we bring it back. Masculine pride, no time to slack.
God, that song's just too fucking sweet, man. where are my Wolfpack brothers at? Throw me a too sweet in the chat. Let's see here. Modern Man says single girls were torpedo a good relationship so they could go to Nashville. You're right. Right? They don't give a fuck, right? All of her single friends aren't caring about her and her well-being and her family. They're like, I want to go to Nashville, bitch, right? So their solipsism's like, I got to torpedo this relationship. He's not doing enough for you, Susan. You need to kick that man to the curb, right? Oh, God. Let's see here. Edward says, you notice that in an office situation that all the women will have their rags at the same time. That is true. I don't think that has anything to do with solipsism, but yeah, they do tend to, they sync cycles, don't they? Yeah, kind of a funny little dynamic. Let's see here. Empathy for outsiders over their husband. So women, I'll tell you this. If you've gone through the betatization stages and she's no longer attracted to you, I think this will apply to you more than if she's got that genuine desire still. She's still attracted to you. She still looks at you like her best possible option. Okay. So if she's lost attraction for you, I think this will apply more, but she'll show compassion to others while being cold to you, right? She's be cold to the man she's closest to. She don't give a fuck about you, but anyone else that's going through the same thing, her heart goes out to them. Oh, I feel so bad for them. You know, women's solipsistic nature actually prevents them from being empathetic. A lot of women, a lot of people think, a lot of women think that they are the ones that express a lot of empathy with people. They really, depending on the situation, they might express some sympathy, right? But they're not expressing empathy at all because they cannot see things through other people's shoes, right? They can't put themselves in other people's shoes. So, because that's their solipsistic nature. So that's what empathy is, right? Empathy is not necessarily feeling what the other person's feeling, but understanding where they're coming from, right? Men are very good at empathy if we allow ourselves to be, because we have to. right? If you think of like wartime situations from the past, that empathy gave us a tactical advantage. Like read Sun Tzu, right? The Art of War. One of the items in the Art of War is know your enemy. Okay, because if you understand your enemy and what they might be doing and what they might be thinking and what they might be planning, you're actually putting yourself in their shoes for a tactical advantage. Like if you understand where they're coming from, now you can better plan. You can better strategize. That's what we do in the Red Pill. We're trying to better understand women so that we can better strategize. That's tactical empathy, right? Shout out to Paul Benjamin. I learned a lot from that fucking guy. God bless him. The Luca model that I talk about in my book, I learned that from Paul Benjamin. The guy's a goddamn genius. Anyway, so women very much, their solipsistic nature causes them to really lack empathy 9 times out of 10. Okay, so if she's just not feeling you in the moment, she's not going to feel your pain. She's not going to understand where you're coming from. She's not going to give a fuck about what you're going through. Okay, she's going to absolutely lack any kind of empathy. Another one I mentioned before, I talked about this before, but the war brides dynamic. Okay, so if a better option appears, right? This is her hypergamous nature. Also, her solipsism allows her to cut ties very quickly and bond with that new man. And this is where a lot of guys don't realize this. When women cheat on you, 9 times out of 10, they're in love with the new guy and they don't love you anymore. Women's hypergamous nature is very monogamous in nature. There's a really great Red Pill Archive article titled Hypergamy is Monogamy. Okay. So if she's not fucking you, she loves the guy she's fucking, right? Whereas men are very different. A lot of women will say, men do it too. Men do it too. No, look at statistics. Statistically, men don't fall in love with the woman they're cheating with as often as women fall in love with the man that they're cheating with. Like it's something like 90% of women are falling in love with the guy that with the side dude, right? In their mind, the side dude is the main dude, and this other guy is just the beta provider, right? She's cold to him. She don't give a fuck about him. She has no empathy for him, right? All this kind of stuff. So the guy she's cheating on him with, that's the guy she really loves. Okay. Men are very different. We're polygamous by nature. So we just want unlimited access to unlimited pussy. And so if the opportunity presents itself, most men jump at it because, that's why affairs with men, they sort of just happen. Like it was a crime of opportunity, right? Whereas women, if they don't like you, they put themselves intentionally in other dudes' orbits so that it just, I don't know what happened. It just happened, right? Like, no, it didn't. No, it didn't, Susan. You didn't just go to lunch with Brad from accounting today, but you haven't done it in the last 5 years, but now all of a sudden your man's unattractive. So now you want to go out to lunch, an innocent lunch with Brad from accounting. Fuck that. You made that happen, Susan. Right. But that's that war bride dynamic. And that's just her solipsism telling herself a story. And that's her reality. Right. It's not even true. By the way, guys, if you have anything like this that you're going through or that you have questions about, you can sponsor a video. If you go to video.comeonmanpod.com and sign up for it, what will happen is you'll receive an email from me. Just reply to that email with what's going on that you have questions about that you want me to make a video on. I'll make a custom video just for you on Tuesday evenings. And man, I got one that's really good that I'm going to schedule later today. That's going out tomorrow at what time do we do that? 6 p.m. 6 p.m. Eastern time is when those go out on Tuesdays. And then if I get multiple of them, I will do them back to back. But lately it's just been like one a week, which is fine. That's a little bit easier for my content creation schedule to just do that. But if these get really popular, those will spill over into Thursdays. But right now it's pretty easy to accommodate. So if there's a situation you want me to cover, sponsor video. Okay, go to video.comeonmanpod.com. I'll drop a link to that here in the chat. Boop. Okay. All right. We're almost done here, guys. Minimization of his pain. So his suffering during conflict or breakup is seen as less real or less important. Man, this is what women hate the red pill space. Man, they hate the red pill space. This is why you can't red pill women. This is why if you're out dating, if you're kind of a red pill aware guy, you don't talk about this shit to women. Okay. Women get really turned off by this stuff because women, their solipsistic nature wants them to feel like this is just this natural process that just magically happens. Oh, love is this mysterious, magical thing, and soulmates and twin flames and all that kind of stuff, right? Women want to play the game. They don't want to know they're playing a game. So this is why you can't talk to them about any of this kind of shit, right? But when us guys are getting together and we're swapping notes on podcasts like this, and women come into the comments, like Joni or Jody or whatever the fuck her name is, they're like, oh, these guys are just bitching and complaining, and like their pain doesn't matter, and like they don't give a fuck, right? Like men's pain doesn't matter. Men don't feel pain. Like fuck them and whatever. And you guys are just a bunch of whiny babies and stuff like that. That's why you can't talk to women about this shit, right? This is for guys. The red pill is for men. Okay. And this is also why it's not good to be following a lot of these female MRAs, right? Men's rights activists. If you look at any men's rights activists out there, like true MRAs, they're all women, right? But a lot of them, it's we like to joke and call it red pill, or it's OnlyFans for the red pill, right? It's because a lot of those women don't give a fuck about you. They don't give a fuck about your struggles. They just know that it's really easy to cash in on content and go viral when a woman is saying this stuff, because men flock to the comments going, yeah, you're right. You get us. Protect her at all costs. Like, she understands me and stuff. Like, she don't give a fuck about you, bro. She just cares about the clicks and the likes and the views she's getting and the super chats. I was on a lady's show a couple of years ago. I was on her first live stream. I'm not going to name her name, but I was on her first live stream ever. And she had one guy send her 5 $100 super chats. And one guy sent her a $600 super chat just for being you, right? Because these simps out there flock to that content, and it's easy content for these women to make, but they don't give a fuck about you, bro. They don't care, okay? Their solipsistic nature won't let them care about your struggles, all right? So it's very important for men to understand that. Get this kind of content from other men who've been through it and understand it and show you how to navigate through it and use it to your advantage. That's how you do it, okay? Recentering of conversations. Even when discussing issues, she redirects the focus back to herself. How many times have you guys had women make everything about them? That never happens, right? Women making everything about them. Does that ever happen? Let me know. Let me know in the chat an example of a time a woman made everything about her. Okay, just let me know. My ex-wife was really good at this shit. My ex-wife made everything about her when nothing had to do with her, right? That's her solipsistic nature, right? Recentering of conversations. And then, by the way, guys, before I forget, I do have one-on-one coaching available. If you go to call.fixeddeadbedrooms.com, you can book a call with me. It's a 1-hour breakthrough and battle plan session, and we'll get to the heart of your problem. And then if you decide to continue working with me and stuff like that, then what I'll do is I'll refund the cost of this call. But the reason why I charge for this call is because otherwise I get a lot of tire kickers and guys that have no intent on doing the work and stuff. And I just can't work with guys that aren't willing to put the work in. Okay. So I charge for this, but it's fully refundable if we continue working together. Okay. I dropped a link to that in the chat. All right. The last one here, guys, last one here, and then we're wrapping up, is subconscious denial of solipsism, right? Most women won't admit to this lens as it operates beneath their own conscious awareness. They don't even realize they're doing it. Okay. So when I put out content like this, when anyone in the red pill space puts out content about the solipsistic nature, all these women are going to be in the comments going, that's not true. I don't do that. I don't do that. I don't do that, because they're making it about themselves. Okay. And they don't realize they're even doing it. It's subconscious. Okay. That means they do it out of pure instinct and programming. They don't even know that they're doing it. Okay. It's just like shit testing. 9 times out of 10, they don't even realize they're doing it. It's subconscious. Okay. That's very important for guys to understand, because a lot of guys are like, oh, well, if a woman's doing this to me, I'm going to dump her and move on to the next girl. Okay. But the next one's going to do it too. Okay. They're wired this way. This is a part of their nature, right? It's like, God, what is it? It's like the story of the frog crossing the river, and or he's getting ready to cross the river or something like that. And a scorpion's like, hey man, can you give me a ride on your back? And he's like, no way, dude. No way. You're going to sting me. And the scorpion's like, I promise I won't sting you. Won't sting you. And he's like, no, dude, I don't trust you, man. Like scorpions, they sting people. And no, I'm not going to do that, man. I need to get across the river. Just give me a chance, man. Let me hop on your back. You can swim across the river and get me to the safe to the other side. I won't sting you. So the frog's like, okay, fine. So the scorpion jumps on the frog's back. The frog starts swimming across the river, and halfway through, the fucking scorpion stings his ass. And he goes, dude, what the fuck? I thought you weren't going to sting me. And he goes, I'm a scorpion, bro. It's in my nature. Right? It's in women's nature. The solipsism, the shit test, all the stuff, they're wired for this. It's a part of their evolutionary psychology. It goes back to survival instincts. They just can't help it. Okay. So it's best to just understand it and learn how to navigate through it and be more tactical when it comes to women. Right? Fair enough. All right. That's all we got today, guys. Tune in to the podcast tomorrow evening. I got a really good sponsored post for you. By the way, if you're an audio podcast listener, you can listen to those episodes, the sponsored episodes, if you become a Spotify member. If you listen, and you have to listen on Spotify though, but become a Spotify member and you can listen to those if you prefer the audio episodes. Okay. It's like $3 a month to be a Spotify member. Other than that, tune in on Wednesday. We're going to be talking about how being playful is the real essence of game. A lot of guys out there are too serious all the time, which is why they struggle with women. You're taking women too seriously. You're too fucking serious out there. You have no fucking sense of humor. Okay. Lighten up, brother. Lighten up, man. Have some fun. You'll do better with women if you have some fun out there. This is a big reason why I put out the content I do on social media that's kind of inflammatory and sort of makes fun of women. It's so that you don't take women so fucking seriously and you have some fun with them, okay? Because if you can have fun with women and be playful, women like you better and you'll do better with women and you'll be more attractive to women. Okay. Stop being so fucking serious. When I'm doing the one-on-one coaching with men through dead bedrooms, the guys who are able to do agree and amplify, which requires you to be pretty quick-witted, quick on your feet, and be kind of witty, and funny, those guys get out of a dead bedroom within 2 weeks, because what they're doing is they're taking their woman's shit test and turning it into playful banter, which is attractive to women. They find that fun and exciting. So guys find that the guys that can do that do much better. The guys that are too fucking serious all the time, they're not funny, they're very deadpan. And I'm like, okay, well, at least do indifference with women when they're doing shit tests. They handle the shit test with indifference, okay, but it doesn't create the spark of attraction that agree and amplify does, because it's not turning things into witty banter. It's just not responding to her negativity. You know what I mean? Like it works, but not as good as agree and amplify. Okay. Especially when it comes to turning your dead bedroom situation around. So lighten up, brother. Tune into the podcast. Tune into the podcast on Wednesday for that one. That's all I got, guys. Like I said before, do be sure to like, subscribe, hit those notifications. I have new episodes every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. All right. Without fail. Other than that, we will see you guys tomorrow for the sponsored live stream.
This has been the Come On Man podcast. Now, Go out and get it.